everybody. Welcome back to Twanger's Turntable, or welcome to Twanger's Turntable, whatever the case may be. Thanks for tuning in. This will be episode 4 of my debut series. It's a series of videos I've been doing of debuts that I have in my collection, be it on cassette, compact disc, or vinyl. Whatever the format I may have is the albums that I will present, and they're strictly just debuts that I have. So I'm going to start off today with compact disc, and then just one single vinyl, because there is a correlation. So I'll start off with 1991's Pearl Jam debut, and that is 10. And this was obviously a huge album for this band. It has sold many millions of copies, and probably best known for Alive, Jeremy. It's like essentially a compilation album of greatest hits. Once, Even Flow, Why Go. I mean, to me they're all fantastic tunes, but it was one of those albums that I purchased right off the hop when it first came out, and on compact disc. This would be that disc that I purchased brand new. I've had it in my collection since that time. It's not a reissue, it's original for whatever it's worth. I don't know if the compact disc has the same cachet or whatever. I mean, collectability, at least in present day. Maybe at some point it may, but it's I don't necessarily, this is not a collection as an investment per se for me. It's just music, as my statement says. This channel is just about sharing my love of music and the feedback of those who may tune in. And I encourage you to leave a comment. In fact, I would like to know if the videos, you prefer shorter videos or longer videos. I'm still trying to work out how it's going to evolve, I guess. I guess it'll just evolve organically, but naturally I just like to know maybe if my videos are too long for some. In many cases I find they're too long, but I don't know if that's more of a natural thing, that most people don't necessarily enjoy watching themselves. So this is certainly something out of my comfort zone. I'm a fairly solitary person, and so in any event, just leave some feedback. Videos shorter, longer, what do you think? If you like it, please give a thumbs up, subscribe. But in any event, 1991 Pearl Jam 10, that's their debut. And this is essentially an album that a band that was created due to the demise of another band, Mother Love Bone. For those who don't know, essentially, the bass player Jeff Ament and the guitar player Stone Gossard were members of Mother Love Bone, who had released an album, their debut album, but unfortunately their lead vocalist Andrew Wood passed away even before the release of their debut. So essentially, once he passed on, they left and formed another band, along with Eddie Vedder, Jeff McCready, and I think it's Dave Cruzen, who was on the original, on this album. He actually played drums on this album. Funny tidbit about this album is when they submitted a demo, it was actually Matt Cameron playing drums. Matt Cameron is the present drummer for Pearl Jam, I believe. But best known, or maybe not best known, but for me, I was introduced to Matt Cameron through Soundgarden, listening to Soundgarden. He was their drummer at the time, and one of my favorite drummers. I mean, Matt Cameron is phenomenal. In any event, that's going to bring me up to my follow-up debut, and it's actually essentially a one-off due to the passing of Andrew Wood. The members of Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Seattle music industry was fairly tight-knit in the early 90s. Obviously, that's where the grunge explosion. I'm not a big fan of that whole terminology as far as a music genre goes. Grunge, it's hard rock, alternative rock, whatever you want to call it. So out came this album, Temple of the Dog. So essentially, what this was the members of Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, essentially the remaining members of Mother Love Bone, being Jeff Ament, Stone Gossard. They were all friends with Andrew Wood, including Chris Cornell of Soundgarden, Matt Cameron of Soundgarden, and so they put out that album, Temple of the Dog, which is a fantastic album. Every song on here is fantastic. Most may only be familiar with Hunger Strike, but right from start to finish, every tune on here is fantastic. Say Hello to Heaven, Reach Down, great tune. Hunger Strike, as I alluded to, Pushing Forward Back, Call Me a Dog is a pretty casual, laid back tune, but Chris Cornell singing on that. I mean, he could sing the phone book and it'd be awesome. Times of Trouble, Wooden Jesus, Your Savior, Four Walled World, All Night Thing, just top to bottom, just awesome album. And in fact was, as I alluded to, just a one-off as a tribute to Andrew Wood from Mother Love Bone. I do believe they captured some of the performances they did live of that, but no other studio albums, just that one-off. So yeah, those are two in my debut collection. I'll move on now to Pearl Jam was 91. I'm going to move up to, where will we go from here? Blind Melon and their debut. This would be 1992. And another unfortunate event was, the lead vocalist here, Shannon Hoon, would pass away. In the scheme of things, not long after. In October 95, he passes away. They did release another album, Soup, I believe it was called. I do have that one as well. But again, often considered maybe a one-hit wonder due to the rain, the song Rain, with the bumblebee. Present on the cover of the album. But this whole album to me is fantastic. And maybe it's a bit of a sentimental thing. I purchased this brand new, and at that time, I really liked them. Fairly unknown band at the time, but Shannon Hoon definitely wasn't unknown in the industry. He in fact had did some vocal work with Guns N' Roses on Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 with November Rain, just the backup vocals, and both of their hits, Don't Cry versions 1 and 2, and The Garden, off those albums. But yeah, this is another fantastic album. Soak the Sin, Tones of Home, great song. I Wonder, Paper Scratcher, Dear Old Dad, Change, of course, is a great song. No Rain, I'm gonna have to have my my eyes rechecked here. Sorry. Deserted, Sleepy House, Holy Man, Seed to a Tree, Drive is a great tune. Time, almost like an ode to Jimi Hendrix in that tune, Drive. But you have to hear it to appreciate it, I think. And don't dismiss it maybe just because if you don't like that one tune that was overplayed because its popularity, the Rain, or Rain, No Rain song. Really great album, great debut. And that's 1992. I'll move up here now to, why don't I just leave those on? I'm going to end up putting them back on anyway. Yeah, and a band that's known in Canada as Bush X. This was their debut. The rest of the globe, I guess, knows them as Bush. Well, that was actually their name, but due to copyright issues or trademark, I guess it is, there was a band in Canada that was named Bush, so they were distributed here as Bush X, and that's their debut, 16 Stone. And yeah, pretty good album. I'm not a huge Bush fan, Bush X. This is 1994. It was a massive album. I mean, I almost everything on here I think has a video to it. Come Down would be a big one. Machine Head, Glycerine, Everything's Zen. Yeah, Little Things. Yeah, a lot of big tunes off of this for Bush, or Bush X as they were here in Canada. And they did some albums afterwards that were quite successful as well. So I think most are familiar with Bush X, kind of that early '90s, alternative rock scene. I think they endured some accusations of being Nirvana ripoffs, or certainly Cobain ripoffs. But many bands did during that time. And at that time, Nirvana was such a huge influence on a lot of bands, and the direction bands decided to take, or probably more accurately, their record labels, directed them to take. And so their albums, they have a certain production sound that was synonymous with the early '90s alternative rock scene. So I would be hesitant to to single out a band like Bush X or any of these bands as being rip-off artists. You have to kind of take the time that these were released. It's kind of almost like a macrocosm of what was going on, right? Certainly, they benefited out of that scene for sure and sold millions of albums. So that's Bush X in '94. One of that I really was drawn to, and it's still a great album. But I'm always impressed with young musicians, especially who I guess follow their passion musically or whatnot. I was always into music and um, tried my hand at some playing drums and whatnot like that, but it was never something I pursued much more aggressively. But these guys from Down Under, Silverchair from 1995, their debut, Frog Stomp, another really good album. And these kids, I say kids because they were 15 years old when this was released. They went number one in Australia. I think they fared pretty well globally as well, but certainly in 1995, this was everywhere. Certainly on alternative radio and the music video services, I'm sure. It wasn't really something I followed much. But yeah, Tomorrow, speaking of Tomorrow, that was the big hit. In fact, their EP prior to this, that was the title of their EP, was Tomorrow, which you think about that, we're actually only 14 then. So yeah, pretty impressive. What else is on here? Well, everything on Israel's Son. I think that was pretty huge. Pure Massacre. Yeah, great album. But yeah, 15 years old when they released this back in 1995. There's a photo in here. I can't remember. I haven't looked at it in so long. The different colored frogs here. The sample of what that insert looks like. Yeah, just some images of the band and but yeah, just kids. I mean, they were 15 at the time, and they went on to have some pretty good success, if I recall. I mean, Neon Ballroom, Freak Show, a couple of follow-up albums. But certainly this is, and I have those, but this is their debut, and I still like this one. I still give this a spin periodically, but it's definitely that. Another band that was, as I alluded to with Bush, accusations of being rip-off artists of, I guess, specifically Kurt Cobain, but Nirvana as a whole, But I think Nirvana, love them or hate them, kind of set a trend of the musical direction that, I think is well documented. I mean, I'm not telling you anything probably you don't know. Maybe you disagree or have a different take on it, but that's what I would like you to comment and provide some feedback. So after that, 95, we're going to go to, I've got a little list here. I'm trying to keep track of where I'm at. And this is a Canadian band. They're out of Canada here. And this is Our Lady Peace. I jumped ahead there. This has actually come before, it should have come before Silverchair. This is 1994, Our Lady Peace, Navid. Again, kind of an alternative rock sound. Don't know how well they fared globally, but they certainly had a fair amount of success here in Canada. 4 times platinum, Starseed, Super Satellite. I actually think I like Super Satellite. It's probably my favorite tune on here. But yeah, Starseed, Navid. They had some pretty, I guess, yeah, 4 times platinum. Nothing to sneeze about. you know, they did well. This is their debut, and that should have been before Silverchair because that's 1994. I'm trying to do them chronologically here. So 1994. Before I move on, I'm gonna have a sip here. Cheers, everybody. I'm actually stuck at home today due to a snow day, the first one of the season, first one of 2022. I was talking to some of my folks back home, and I guess they had theirs on the weekend, and we're getting it now here. It's all good. I don't mind a snow day once in a while. I actually did go out to work, but was called off the road just due to the weather. Anyway, back at it here. And we're going to go with, I'm at 95. Silverchair was 95. I did mix those up a bit here. So, and this is a debut of Filter. Their debut is called Short Bus, as you can see that. I don't know if you can see that. That's the cover. That's the rear label. Yeah, probably best known for Hey Man, Nice Shot. That was a pretty almost overplayed tune. The whole album, I think, is pretty decent, but it is that hard rock, alternative rock, almost alternative metal, I guess. I don't know if I'd go that far, but hey, they're just labels. But yeah, this essentially is Richard Patrick's band. He was a touring guitarist with Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor's band, and he's actually the younger brother of Robert Patrick. Robert Patrick, who starred in the Terminator 2. He was the all liquidy Terminator dude there. Also was in, what was he in? The X-Files. After Duchovny left, he was the guy that came in. Sorry, I'm getting off topic. That would be his brother. Richard Patrick is Filter, essentially. I mean, he's joined by hired guns, but he's Filter. His brother is Robert Patrick, who was of the Terminator fame and X-Files anyway. Just a little tidbit to add in there. That's a good debut. I mean, he also went in. They went on to have some pretty good albums after that. But I think that's probably my favorite one, is Short Bus. Again, pretty heavy alternative rock, you know, hard rock. And that is from 1995. Next one is going to be, I don't know if this person did a whole lot after this. I didn't follow their career, and some of these I have, some of these I haven't, but this was a good one. I like this one. And 1996, Tracy Bonham, probably best known for that hit she had on this album, Mother Mother. Not a lot more to say about that, only just because I don't know a lot more about it, but this was her debut. One of the tracks on here is called One Hit Wonder. But it's, again, into that, you know, 90s alternative rock scene. Good for what it is. Nothing pioneering about it, or you know, just alternative rock from 1996, and just one in my collection. Mother Mother would be the big one. That's all I know about that. Next up, Big Wreck. This is actually a really good album. And this is also 1997. Probably most folks would know this best for The Oath, maybe that song. But the one I like best on this would be probably Blown Wide Open. The Under the Lighthouse is another good one. This is led by Ian Thornley. Maybe you're more familiar with Ian Thornley. He did some solo stuff, but great album, great band, Big Wreck. Yeah, awesome album. This is from 1997. And I mean, kind of dates itself. Some of the, at least to me, when I look at some of these, you know, it certainly looks like it's of that era. You can look at certain vinyl sleeves or compact disc sleeves, because that's whatever, and kind of date them by their artwork sometimes, or photography. But yeah, this was a a really good debut, a great debut. I really like Big Wreck, and still like enjoy listening to that one a lot. In Loving Memory of, that's the title of that album from 1997. Next up, we're skipping ahead to '02. That'd be the next one in my debuts here. I just grabbed a pile for this episode. I will probably have to do a couple more episodes to complete my series. So this is being episode 4. I think I'm limiting it here to about 13 titles or whatnot on this episode. But yeah, 2002, this is a fantastic debut. And of course, not a debut of the musicians themselves who had, this is Audioslave from 2002, with lead vocalist Chris Cornell, of course, from, I spoke about, he did some work with Temple of the Dog, but better known for Soundgarden. And maybe some people he's better known as he did some solo work of his own as well, which I do have some of that. I should have presented one of those. But yeah, this is essentially after Rage Against the Machine went on hiatus. They wanted to continue to play, and this is kind of the super group they put together with Tom Morello and Chris Cornell, Brad Wilk, and Tim Comerford on bass, Brad Wilk on drums, Tom Morello obviously on guitar, and Chris Cornell on vocals. Oh, there they are. I was looking for that. That's essentially the band there with the 4 members. Awesome debut album. Cochise, I guess that was probably a big one. Well, there's so many big ones on this. Again, almost like a compilation album of greatest hits on here. Show Me How to Live, Gasoline, What You Are, Like a Stone, Set It Off, yeah, Shadow on the Sun, I Am the Highway. Every song on here, Exploder, Hypnotize, Bring 'Em Back Alive. I mean, Light My Way, Getaway Car, The Last Remaining Light. This is the kind of album you put on, you get in your car or your vehicle, and it's just, you just crank it. It's just so good. But yeah, it's definitely hard rock. Some people may even categorize it as metal. I don't know. I don't get too hung up on labels and whatnot. It's just if I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. It's the only deciding factor to me. I don't care about genres. It really doesn't matter. But great debut from 2002 from Audioslave. This one is also from 2002. The band called Breaking Benjamin. Saturate is their debut album. Probably best known for Polymoris, Medicate. I mean, this is a band that was led by Benjamin Burnley, hence the name Breaking Benjamin. I guess he was quite lots of, funny enough, one of their albums is called Phobia. But yeah, he had lots of phobias, including flying, which prevented them from doing a lot of world tours. I guess they eventually did do some, got on a boat or whatnot, but yeah, they had some huge success, and maybe they're still going. I don't know. I know this. The original lineup only consisted. There was only 2 albums. The first 2 albums was the original lineup. This one from 2002, and then 2004. We're Not Alone. That would be the original lineup. But yeah, they went on and had some huge success. This compact disc, it says on there, also includes the video for that Polymoris. Any photos on there? Yeah, there's a band photo there. Yeah, this is definitely that alternative metal that, a lot of those bands, 3 Days Grace, Disturbed or whatnot. But that's not a fair, I don't think they sound anything like that. And if there's anything that I don't necessarily like about Benjamin Burnley, his vocals sometimes can have that, what do they call that? It's almost like the death growl or something. And I'm not really into that. Although there's some bands I like that do incorporate that in their music. But usually I'm about the music. If I like the music, I'm probably going to listen to it, and I can, for large part, ignore vocals that I don't necessarily like. But only for a short amount of time. You know, I wouldn't put on album after album of death metal and stuff like that. It's just not my thing. You know, black metal, all speed metal, which is funny because I do like some pretty heavy bands, but once it starts getting into that growl and stuff like that, I can only take so much of it, and I'll usually tune it out. But that's just me. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying that. You know, it's obviously loved by millions, and if people like it, I've got nothing negative to say about it. That's not my place. You just like what you like, and don't like what you don't like, and you know, kind of you know, practice what you preach. That's what I believe in the music I like. So whoever likes the music they like it for a reason. It speaks to them in some way, and that's what it's all about. Anyway, enough of that. So next up is also, what did I say that was? That was 2002. This one is actually from 2005. Another band from Down Under. Almost a classical rock sound to these guys. I don't know. They're, anyway, Wolf Mother from Australia. That's their 2005 debut. You know, it's good for what it is. I like it. It's if you have not heard them, I don't even know what I could use as a comparison. They're very fantasy, Dungeon and Dragon. Is that even fair? Like kind of vocal, not even in the same vein as Zeppelin, you know, but it was very Lord of the Ringish, you know, type of vocal. But yeah, I mean, probably best known, or I don't even know if it's best known, but basically the vocalist on here, Andrew Stockdale, you know, he did work with Slash in 2010, sang on Slash's album from 2010, just called Slash, that album, Die by the Sword. But yeah, and pretty big in 2000. I guess it was released in 05 in Australia, but the rest of the world, it was actually 06. I think I remember reading. Yeah, globally it was released in 06 globally, but 2005 in Australia. So that's where they're from. That's what will go as their release date for their debut for Wolfmother. Probably, I'll read off a couple of tunes on here. Woman, that's probably one of the biggest songs that they were known for. Joker and the Thief, Vagabond, Colossal. I mean, Mind's Eye. Maybe I'm just reading all these off because I you know, I like this album, so they're all very familiar to me. Dimension. I mean, you know, Where Eagles Have Been. Yeah, it's a really good debut by these guys, and they went on to have some success. I think their follow up was it called Egg, or I don't know if that was their follow up or not. Now, actually, you may have to correct me if you know and post it on there. I'm sure I'll find out after I'm done with this video, but. Anyway, that's 05, 06 globally, as I alluded to. Next up is really like the debut from these guys, and that's Jack White's band, or you know, he's a member of the band, the Raconteurs. Speaking of Australia, I guess in Australia they're known as the Saboteurs for some reason. Maybe there was a band down there with a name that was already similar to what Bush had to do in Canada. With Bush X, maybe there was a Raconteurs in Australia. Broken Boy Soldiers. This is a great debut. I like everything that Jack White does personally, whether it be, you know, the White Stripes, his solo stuff, the Dead Weather, where he's joined with what's her name, Alison Mossart, I believe it is, from The Kills. The Kills is another great band. I do have their debut. It's not in this episode. Now that I think of it. But that's another great band. But yeah, this is from 2006. If you've not heard it, check it out. Steady As She Goes would be probably the best known tune on here, but every tune on here is good. As I mentioned, Steady As She Goes, Hands, Broken Boy Soldier, Intimate Secretary, Together, Level, Store-Bought Bones, that's a good one. Yellow Sun, Call It a Day, and Blue Veins is also a really good one. I mean, this whole entire album, really awesome. If you haven't heard it, check it out. And that's pretty much it for this episode 4 of my debut series. I'm Twanger at Twanger's Turntable. If you've liked it, give it a thumbs up. Even if you haven't liked it, maybe give me some feedback. What you didn't like or what you do like. subscribe. There's a notification thing you can hit there so that when I do my next video, you'll receive the notification that it's up there. And hopefully that'll be soon. I tend to make these videos and maybe not post them right away. I just get busy. In fact, I had my grandsons for a large portion of the holidays throughout December and January. So starting to get somewhat back to my own time here where I can do things like this. I attempted to do a video when they were here, but for whatever reason, it just didn't work out. So Aiden, William, Gabriel, we'll do a video with different content. I guess this just isn't the format. Anyway, if you liked it, as I alluded to, give me a thumbs up, leave me some feedback. Really appreciate you watching. Hope you come back for the next video, which I hope to have up soon. And yeah, I'm Twanger. Thanks for watching Twanger's Turntable. Have a good one, everybody. Cheers.